following the recent events in Kosovo and now also Albania. You never know when things are gonna break out, and you know when a protest or a movement is really gonna turn into a large public debate, which has done now in Kosovo, which is great. It's just unfortunate that so many bad things have to happen, women getting violated or killed, and then we kind of wake up and start talking about these important issues. So yeah, I'm really happy that this conversation is really going beyond civil society and ending up on families' kitchen tables during a dinner to talk about these things, like the Me Too, forced us to have these uncomfortable but very important conversations. Why now? Looking back to 2017, we had the largest global women's movement in the history of the planet. And since then, we have had different sort of protests in Chile, in South Korea, in Belarus, in Sweden, in Kosovo. We are in movement now. Things are really beginning to change by speaking now more and more about men and boys' sexual violence against women and girls. And I think what is important in Kosovo right now is to really zoom out and to understand that this issue has nothing to do with Kosovo. I read some comments on social media. Someone said that this is because men in Kosovo are unemployed. I mean, that is a problem, of course, but men's sexual violence and boys' sexual violence is a global problem. It's not about Kosovo. It has very little to do with Kosovo, the Chan, or like the places where these events, these rapes have taken place. Sexual violence, sexual harassment, sexual abuse, rape, it happens in each city, in each town, in each community and village, in every country in the world. We need to include men in the conversations. That is why we cannot say Lisa was raped at the party. We need to say Bob raped Lisa at the party. So we need to constantly put the focus on the person who are committing the crimes, on the abuser. That there is no sexual education at this moment in Kosovo 2021. It is a very serious violation of young people's human rights, the right to quality education that can hold international standards. It's a failure. This needs to change very quickly.
Marshet që provokuan debatin publik mbi ngacmimet dhe dhunën seksuale në Kosovë, për një pjesë të njerëzve që janë përfshirë në to, burojnë edhe nga mungesa e edukimit për këto tema që në shkollë.
Sweden was first to start with sexual education in 1955. And then sexual education has changed, in Europe, in line with what kind of health priorities we have had. So in the 60s and 70s, there was a with unwanted pregnancies. And then we had in the 80s, we had HIV. And then in the 90s, we have more raising awareness of sexual abuse. And now today, we are creating, UN is pushing governments, Sweden's change is sexual education. So we are doing a value-based, a human rights-based sexual education where we speak about gender norms, where we speak about sexual harassment, sexual violence, where we speak about consent. We need to understand what is consent. It's the opposite of rape. So all these things have happened in Europe, all these kind of developments of sexual education, and young people in Kosovo still don't have a right to sexual education. It's a disaster. But I think the whole discussion, this is also what has been on the banners of the activists in both Tirana and in Pristina. It is not about to protect, how to support and how to help the daughter or the girl or the woman not to get raped. It's about focusing on men and boys and teach them about consent, about how to not harass, about how to not give unwanted sexual attention to girls and women. And I can give an example of how we battle this issue in a very early age. We have a saying in Sweden, which is "Stop min kropp." And that is taught to each kindergarten student or child. And it means, stop, this is my body. And that teaches very small children that no one, not another child or not an adult, have the right to touch your body without your permission.